Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about my Sephora recommendations. So last week I talked about all the stuff that I've been planning on buying during the VIB sale, but I figured today I would take the time to talk about like my absolute favorites that I would recommend that you guys check out. So if you want to see my Sephora VIB sale recommendations, then let's get started. So as I'm sure you can see back here, I have a buttload of products to talk about. So obviously these are my favorites. These are things that I have loved for a long time. They're products that I'm sure I have raved about a ton on my channel. So if it's something that I know that I've talked a lot about or talked about recently, I'm not going to go too in depth with it. I'm just kind of going to breeze over it, mention it, and move on. So I'm going to go in the order that I would apply my makeup. So we're going to start with primers. Okay, so I have 4 primers to talk about today. The first one is kind of a primer, kind of not a primer. This is the Milk Makeup Cooling Water Stick. I love this. This is not technically a primer. It's not going to lengthen the time of your makeup wear. It's not going to smooth out anything. It really is just a nice cooling water stick that kind of like freshens, wakes you up in the morning, and just kind of helps you start your day on a positive note. I love using this all over my face. I love it under my eyes to kind of like depuff and just help if I'm just feeling like super groggy and tired and just nothing's waking me up. This is what I will go in with, just like rub it all over my face, and it's just like, it's like splashing cold water on your face without actually having to splash cold water on your face. It's fantastic. I love it. So the next product is totally obvious. It's the BECCA Cosmetics Backlight Priming Filter. Everyone is recommending this, and it's for a good reason. It's so good. It's beautiful. I don't think it lengthens the amount of time the makeup stays on or anything. Obviously I have dry skin, so I don't really worry about that in general, but it really does just give a beautiful, beautiful glow. You can use a little bit, you can use a lot of it. It's beautiful. The next product I've only heard a couple people talk about, and I don't know why. This primer, I forgot what it's called, is so good. So this is the No Poreblem primer from Touch in Soul. Now y'all know I don't really worry about my pores. Like, I have pores, everyone has pores, but I've never been one to like pack on the pore filling primers. One, I don't really care that much, but 2, a lot of them are very just drying. They look weird on my dry skin. They don't sit well underneath foundation for me, so I don't use them a lot. But this is so different from anything I've ever used. It's crazy. It's like a gel. Let me pump some out. So as you can see, it really is like a gel. It's moisturizing, but also has that like slippy dimethicone type feeling to it. But it's so much nicer on my dry skin than any of the other like pore filling primers that I've ever used. It's crazy. I love it so much, and it really does work. Like, I used it today, and just like this area is just like perfect. Just perfect. It's crazy. Not to mention, this primer is super affordable. I think it's like $18. Like, it's nothing. Like, there are a lot of drugstore primers that are getting up to $18 now. So this one just, it's so good. Now the next one, I wasn't really sure where to put this because you could use it in a lot of different ways. So this is the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. I just have like this little tiny mini size. I have mine in the shade Moonlight. I love this. So you can use this as like a liquid highlighter. You can mix it in with your foundation. You can use it underneath. It's just a very versatile product, and I love it. It's such a beautiful, intense glow. It's crazy. Now, personally, for my fair skin, Moonlight could be considered a little dark, but it really does just give the most beautiful glow. It kind of works. It depends. Okay, so now on to foundation. I have 3 foundations to recommend to you today. One of them is a BB cream. This is the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Tinted Hydrating Gel Cream. Such a long name. I love this product. It's so good. Now, I have it in shade 1.5, which I feel like might be a little dark on certain days, but I kind of make it work. It's so good. It's so moisturizing, so dewy, the perfect amount of coverage, because you know, when you're using a tinted moisturizer, obviously you're not going to get full coverage. You don't really want full coverage if you're using a product like this, but it's just, it really does just even out your skin tone and just make you look perfected and healthy without looking cakey or like you're wearing makeup. And it's just, it's the perfect natural day foundation. It really is. The next foundation is also from BareMinerals. This is the BarePRO Performance Wear Liquid Foundation. Now, I feel like when this released, people either loved it or hated it, and I personally love it. So I have mine in the shade Fair 01, and this is a perfect, fantastic, amazing shade match for me. And this foundation is really, really, really beautiful. It's high medium coverage. You can still see like my skin coming through, which I personally prefer because, you know, I don't want to look like I'm wearing a mask. It dries down to look very natural. It's not dewy, it's not matte, it's just kind of very skin-like. It's a very, very, very nice foundation, and I highly recommend you check it out. And then the last foundation is actually my holy grail foundation, which is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I love this so much. It is the perfect full coverage, glam, but not cakey foundation. It's just, it's so good. It works well with so many primers. I haven't found a primer that doesn't look good with this. It looks just perfect on the skin. This blew me away. I did not expect it to be this good, and it really is. So, love this foundation. Highly, highly, highly recommend you check it out. And I have mine in the shade Swan, which is a top-notch shade match for me. So I actually only have one concealer to recommend to you guys, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. This is what I've been searching for such a long time. It is not full coverage. It's very natural, high medium coverage. Like, you can still see things coming through, which I love, but it's enough that it covers what you want it to cover. It evens everything out. It doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look dry. It just looks so good on the skin. It's a little bit moisturizing, and it's fantastic. I really, really, really do love this concealer. There are days where I'm just not in the mood for the Tarte Shape Tape dried, just like overdone under eye, and this is what I reach for on those days because it's perfect. Now, for applying all of those products, I have one sponge to recommend to you guys. Now, I know everyone and their mother recommends the Beauty Blender, which that's fine for them. I don't like the Beauty Blender. I've tried it multiple times. It just doesn't wow me. But one sponge that I found at Sephora that really does wow me is the Fenty Beauty Sponge. Now, this is dry, so it probably doubles in size from this. This sponge is so good. It's so good. It's very, very soft, even in its dry form, which a lot of sponges kind of get like stiff in their dry form. This is really, really soft. It's only $16, so it is cheaper than the Beauty Blender, which is fantastic. 16 or 18? I think it's 16. Don't quote me. Sorry about that. I love this sponge. It really does just, it's a good sponge. Like, I don't even know what to say about it. It's a good sponge. It's fantastic. The shape takes a little bit of getting used to, just because I'm used to using the like regular rounded ones. So I'm used to using something like this all over, but it really does work better if you use the flat side, just because it's kind of awkward to hold it this way. But the sponge is really, really nice. Highly recommend you check it out. Now, setting powders. I only have one setting powder to recommend you guys. I feel like I should have more in these categories, but I mean, I want to recommend my favorites, and these are my favorites. So, I know everyone and their mother, again, is recommending the Laura Mercier powder, which is fantastic. It's a great powder, but I have noticed that it's not my favorite. It kind of emphasizes and creates texture on my under eye that is not normally there, and I'm not obsessed with it. But I have I have found one powder that just gives me my like perfect airbrushed model on a magazine cover type under eye, and I'm obsessed with it, is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD powder. Now this is a very, very, very finely milled white powder. So if you have issues with something like that, if you take a lot of flash photography, this is probably not going to be your friend, because I would highly, highly assume that this causes flashback. Now, I've never tested it. I don't do a lot of flash photography, so that's not an issue in my life. But if you do, you might want to be careful of this, but it really is just the most beautiful, silky, just amazing powder that just sits so beautifully on the skin. It sets everything perfectly, and it really does just blur your face. It's crazy. I've never experienced anything like it, and I will forever repurchase this. It's so good. I know that they have, this is the mini size, they have a bigger size than this, and they also have a pressed version, which I'm curious to see the pressed version. I'm not sure if it's different, but I wouldn't mind trying it. The other face powder that I have to recommend is the HOURGLASS Ambient Lighting Powder. Now, this is a finishing powder. It's not a setting powder. You're not going to want it for a setting powder, but as a finishing powder, this is so beautiful. Now, it is going to give you a like lit from within dewy type of look, so if you're not into that, this is not going to be your friend. If you have oily skin, this is not going to be your friend, because it does get, if you have oily skin and you don't like the dewy look, I feel like if you have oily skin and you do want an oily, if you have oily skin and you do want a dewy look, I feel like this might be a good route for you, because it is a powder, but it has a slight sheen to it. So I feel like it's not going to add to your oiliness, but it is going to give you a dewy look. So if you're looking for that, this is a good option. These powders are beautiful. I know they are stupid expensive, but in my opinion, they are so worth it. I've had this for a year. I'm pretty sure I bought this at the last spring VIB sale, and I haven't even made a dent in it, and I use this almost on a daily basis. So love this powder. It's so beautiful. It's just, it perfects the skin. It really does. Now, moving on to bronzers, highlights, and blushes. Obviously, I have to talk about these again. I'm not gonna drone on about them because I talk about them in so many videos, but the HOURGLASS blushes are beautiful. They blend out. They're pigmented, but not too pigmented. They're fantastic blushes. Again, stupid expensive, but in my opinion, so worth it. And they're highlighters. The metallic strobe highlighters. Again, beautiful, natural but intense highlighters that are they just look wet on your skin. Beautiful, fantastic. This is the palette, which I think is a fantastic deal if you want to try a couple different shades out and see what works well for you. This I would totally recommend. Another highlighter that I would highly recommend are the BECCA Cosmetics, what are these even called? Shimmering Skin Perfectors. These are so good. You can get the mini size, which is what this is. It's only $19. It's a little bit easier to swallow than the $38 for the full size. Looping. Now, obviously, the mini size is not a good deal, so unless you're like really on a budget, if you really just cannot swing that $38, I don't recommend the mini size, but these highlighters really are beautiful. There's a reason that people love them. They just look really nice on the skin. I don't even know what else to say about them. They just look beautiful in the skin. They don't emphasize too much texture. I don't think that they're perfect, but they don't emphasize too much texture, for me at least. And they just look beautiful. I have Vanilla Quartz, which is a great shade for fair skin. I really recommend these highlighters. They're very nice. There's a reason that people love them. And then I have one bronzer to recommend, and it's the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer Stick in Baked. I think they have one shade that's darker than this. This is a beautiful, amazing, fantastic cream bronzer. Now, this stick is massive, and I'm pretty sure it's like $24, so you get a buttload of product for your money. This bronzer blew my mind because it blends out so perfectly and just like immediately, like there's no work involved in it. You like swipe it twice and it's just gone. It's so beautiful and it looks so natural on the skin. Now, the only downside of this, well, there's two downsides. One, this stick is very, very big. So if you have a smaller face like me where you have to be very, very precise, you may not want to go straight in with this. I actually like to take something like this, a small stipple brush. This is from Wet n Wild. It's like $2.99 or something. And I'll just stipple it on the top and then go in rather than try and like draw stripes, because I have a small face and I really have to be careful about where I put my bronzer so that I don't start looking muddy and weird. And then the second downside is this product smells awful. It smells like straight Play-Doh. Like, legitimately, I thought I opened a box of Play-Doh when I first opened this. It's such an offensive smell, but I get over it and I just like hold it far away from my face because the product is just, it's that beautiful. Now, moving on to eyeshadow palettes. I have two different ones. I wanted to kind of pull out all of my eyeshadow palettes and recommend them, but I didn't want to do that because I feel like I've talked most of my palettes to death. Obviously, the Anastasia Modern Renaissance is a fantastic way to go. Obviously, the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette is a fantastic way to go. Y'all know those are two of my favorite palettes on earth, but I didn't want to talk about those today. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. So, this palette. This is the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics. So this is their big basic palette. First of all, this packaging is beautiful. I mean, look at this. It's just, it's so pretty. I love the packaging on this. This is an all matte eyeshadow palette. You've got cool tones, you've got warm tones, you've got dark colors to put in the outer corner. You've got a bunch of like matte cream shades. This palette is just perfect. I love these shades. I love this formula. It blends out so easily. You can get so many different looks from this just because you really do have that range of tones and undertones and just amazingness. They blend out so easily. Did I already say that? I think I did. But this formula really did blow my socks off because I haven't tried too many Urban Decay palettes, but of the ones I've tried, they're nothing like this. So I did some swatches there for you. There's the black, the dark burgundy, and then the really intense like terracotta color. I really love this formula. They're really beautiful and they're the type of formula that they can take a beating. I personally am very savage when I go with my brush. I don't like sit there and like delicately tap my brush in. I want to go in and just like pack it on and then get the eye look done. And this formula can take that. They don't break apart. They're not too powdery. They're not too dusty. They hold up really well and I love it. And then the second eyeshadow palette that I wanted to mention, y'all might hate me for this, but I have to. The Natasha Denona palettes are beautiful. They are a splurge. They are a very, very luxury item. And they cost a pretty penny. This one is $130. They have bigger ones that are like $240, I think. They're very expensive, but in my opinion, they are worth it. Strictly because, yes, you can dupe these colors, but you're not going to dupe the formula, and that's what matters when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. This formula is something I have never seen before. It is so blendable. It's a little dusty, but I don't have too much fallout. And honestly, the one reason that I keep recommending this is for this brown right here. This is the only brown that I have ever met in my entire life that goes on pigmented enough, there it is right there, and doesn't blend out to nothing. Every brown that I've ever put on my eye, and black to be honest, I put it on and it's perfect, and then I blend it out and it becomes patchy and dusty and blends away to nothing. And I don't understand it, but this brown is the only brown that I've ever met that doesn't do that. So for that reason alone, this palette is worth it to me. But obviously that's one color of 15 colors and they all perform the exact same way. They all perform exactly how you would want a $130 palette to perform. It's beautiful. if you're looking to splurge, if you're looking to spoil yourself, go with one of these. And honestly, this is the time to do it when you can get this discount because it helps. Okay, now moving on to lipsticks. I think we all know what my first recommendation is. The Urban Decay Vice lipsticks are just amazing. They are comfortable, they are matte, they stay for a very long time, they are pigmented, they are creamy, and they're just comfortable to wear. It's fantastic. They are my new obsession. They are my new favorite lipstick formula ever, and I highly, highly recommend. And they have so many different shades. They have a massive shade range in these, so it's just, they're perfect. But I did want to give you guys some other options because I know that some people don't like this formula. I don't know how, but they don't. So the next one I want to talk about is the Tom Ford lip color in Indian Rose. This is beautiful. These are another splurge item, but this formula is so creamy. It's just, is crazy. Okay, so my camera battery actually died. So I had to let that charge up a little bit. So I'm pretty sure when we left off, I was talking about the Tom Ford lipstick. This really is a luxury splurge. These lipsticks are really, really expensive. I think they're like $54, possibly. Stupid expensive. This is the mini size. I got it as like a 100-point perk, but this formula is so good. It is so creamy, and it's got this beautiful like satin finish, so it stays really, really comfortable. It's not the most long wearing. Obviously, you could probably do something with that. You could like pat it down and do all those little tricks and whatnot. But honestly, I love how satiny and creamy it is because it just makes it so comfortable. I'm fine with reapplying lipstick as long as my lips don't end up cracked and just like painful by the end of the day. So these, so good. So good. Highly recommend this lipstick. And then the last lipstick that I wanted to recommend are the Tarte, what are these even called? Color Splash lipsticks. These are so good. I have the shade Set Sail, and it's this really beautiful like brownie mauve. So there it is right there. Again, very creamy, not as satiny as the Tom Ford one. It has a little bit more of a matte base to it, basically. But it does have a little bit of satin shift to it, but it's just not going to be quite as creamy and comfortable. But that means it is going to be more long wearing. Sorry, I'm getting like flustered. I'm trying to go too fast. Okay, so I have 3 setting sprays that I want to talk about, all kind of for different purposes. So the first one is the Too Faced Hangover RX 3-in-1 replenishing primer and setting spray. Now I have had this for forever. I still haven't used it as a primer. I just always forget. But as a setting spray, this is amazing. It gives the most beautiful, dewy, healthy, just amazingly nourished feeling and look to your skin. Like, I love using this because it just feels like I'm doing something good for my skin. It's amazing. I don't know if it necessarily extends the wear time of my makeup, but again, I have dry skin, so it's not really something that I look for because most makeup stays on my face. Like, I don't really have that problem, so I do love this. It is fantastic. It's such a good setting spray. Such a good setting spray. And then the last setting spray is the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. Now, this one is, again, very expensive. This is the mini size and it's $20. And honestly, I don't even think I've made a dent in this. I can't really see it, but I don't think I've made a dent in it. This is really good, but personally, I don't see it doing much when I spray it on my face. The way I use this is I actually spray my beauty sponge with it as I'm applying my foundation if I know that I want like a really hydrated, dewy look. If I'm using like a matte foundation, like today I used the Estee Lauder Double Wear, which also is a fantastic foundation, by the way. It's much more of like a heavy matte foundation, So I like to spray my beauty sponge with this, and it just gives a really nice dewy look to the skin without going overboard. But personally, again, I just don't see that much from it when I just spray it on my face, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm just missing it, but I just don't see it. Okay, so those are all of my recommendations for the Sephora VIB sale. I will have all of these products linked down below. I will also have all the details for the sale linked down below. Now, these are obviously all makeup. I didn't want to make it too long and throw in a whole bunch of skincare. Let me know if y'all would be interested in a skincare, hair care, body care version of this, and I can do that and throw it up on Monday. But these are just all of my makeup. I just wanted to like stick to the basics, stick to makeup. But I hope you guys liked today's video. I hope I gave you some great ideas for your haul for the sale. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.